farming chefs, thank you for tuning in. Today's episode is going to be all about our compost. We're going to be testing it and seeing what exactly is wrong. If you've been following our channel, you'll know that our second garden, which we've just put a lot of love into, is not producing, totally stagnated. Let's find out why. Time to test some soil. Moment of truth. What I have here is just a very simple soil test kit. I bought it online, costs around 15 to 20 euros. So there's a pH test solution, there's an ammonia nitrogen solution, and there's a phosphorus extraction solution, and then potassium extraction solution. This will tell us something about the levels of nutrients in here, in the soil. I've just read the instructions, they're quite straightforward. You can do this without parental supervision. You need about 2 grams of your soil or compost in this case, and we're going to be adding on top of that into this little tube 10 milliliters of pure water. We're going to shake, 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 leave it on the counter for about 30 minutes, and then the clear liquid that rises to the top is going to be extracted into these other little tubes, to which we'll be adding 2 milliliters of the reagent to then read on our color chart what's what. Okay, I suppose there's no better time than now.
Bring the band in. Woo. Well, all right. Yeah, they want me to fit in, but I can't. I'm too different with it, too advanced to think. You know my intuition. I got bars and ink, but never in a prison. Too far gone, never gonna sit and listen. This is optimism mixed with the best. You get it? What you're seeing is a beast in the flesh. I'm vetted up. I don't need to try to speak for the rest. Always keep it abrupt. They want to keep it a mess, you know. This is what you get.
All right. Let's color code this. So right now, what are we going to start with? Let's start off with the nitrogen. Nitrogen levels are in the bright yellow to green, and that would be considered 0. Well, that would definitely explain a lot. Then we're moving on to the phosphorus. Phosphorus are, the color would match 80 best I find. Phosphorus should be anywhere between 30 to 50, so that would be considered on the high end. Then we have our potassium. What a beautiful color, blue. If I would mark this on the spectrum, I think we would have to go for the highest end of it, 240. That's high. Potassium should be anywhere between like 170 to 280, so I think that is still all right, but yeah, definitely on the high end. And then the pH, last but not least, definitely on the high end of the spectrum towards the 10, meaning that it's the opposite of acidic. 6 to 6.5 would be ideal here. These colors are not making me happy. This compost is completely out of whack. There's no nitrogen. Phosphorus and potassium are too high, and the pH levels are too high as well. This is very upsetting. I have the analysis report next to me of what I thought I was buying. I'm going to flash it to you without showing the name. I'm going to definitely be contacting the company and see if they can fix it. But what is next? We now know what's wrong. There's no nitrogen in the soil. That's our biggest problem as of now. And there's obviously very little bacterial life in this soil as well. If there is nothing here there's nothing to feed on, there won't be that much life in there. So our plan of action is as follows. Let's introduce manure, let's introduce bacterial life, let's introduce everything that we can within the limits of the time that we have, our time constraint. Irony, of course, will have it that I made a video exactly on this topic, on how important it was to read your compost analysis report and how all compost is not created equal. I'll stick to my guns that is always a good idea, but maybe my second advice at this point would be, once you receive your compost, try immediately testing it by either buying one of your kits, but also just plant something. Even if you're not putting your garden down yet, if you have the time, just do a test planting, see how your plants react, and if in a few weeks time you see that everything is just starting to wilt and discolor, you know that something is up. You shouldn't have to be doing this. We should all be able to trust that what we're receiving is what we're buying is what we will receive. But obviously, yes, life throws you a curveball every now and then. This is a big one, and I'm just gonna get out of my way to try to catch that curveball and throw it right back and see how we can work out this this kink in the chain. Let's say that we need to now work fast and hard to resolve this issue, and that's just what we'll do. All right, mission save the garden, action, let's go. Meet our tea compost machine. This beauty here is capable of creating liquid gold. You introduce microbial life, which you can either buy online or get from your own compost and that of neighboring farms, into the machine and add water. It then bubbles air into the mixture, and 24 hours later you have something that is the equivalent to liquid gold. We then introduce it onto our beds by just pumping it through our irrigation system. Our second action of choice was to import a big truckload of manure onto the farm. This sheep's manure is coming from a neighboring farm and was bought for about 140 euros per truckload, so it wasn't cheap. But at this point, we needed all the help we can get. It should be noted that not all plants enjoy having manure under their roots. It is really only the Cucurbitaceae family that really thrives on this type of treatment, but this way we could save at least our melons, pumpkins and our cucumbers. We dug out the sick little plants, added a heap load of the manure mixed in with the soil and the compost, and then planted plants back on top. And then, last but not least, we decided to open up this third garden. This was only in the books for next year, but we decided to speed up the process as we wanted to make sure that this summer we had a chance at getting something in the ground that could thrive from the get-go. All the other plants in the garden right now are suffering because they had an initial setback, and sometimes plants don't recoup from this. Of course, we're keeping our fingers crossed, but this is our little extra backup. Renato did all the heavy lifting. He drilled back together the frames we use for the permanent garden, and he scooped heaps and heaps of this manure onto the ground, then shoveling the dirt from the paths onto the bed again. And next week we'll be finishing this project and bringing on irrigation. Water will be sourced from the well, and let's hope that everything goes well. There you have it, compost tea, new garden, terrible soil testing. It's been a hell of a week. We're probably gonna have our soil tested professionally to really combat this company and hope we get a refund. More on that next week. Thank you guys for watching. See you on the next one. The Farming Chefs, peace out.